Hello, my lovely. We know as women with adult diagnosed ADHD that we did not get to where we are right now by doing things the way everyone else did, right? We know we have also felt like the weirdo or the freak in the room. And I'm not talking about the good kind of freak like freaky deaky. I'm talking about the weirdo freak, right? Where I know that I felt like that for a really long time. So I'm going to guess you can relate. We are natural born storytellers and disruptors, and we really love to shake shit up. It's like part of our nature. We also don't like being told what to do, but also low key tell me what to do and help me anyway. And our brains are wired to see the world just in a very different way. I know that my diagnosis, which happened while running this business, changed my whole life. And I don't say that anecdotally. It literally changed everything. It also changed my business for the better because I got curious and started working the way my brain works. And now that's what I teach my clients, the spicy minded way. That is my way of coaching, but there's no parameters. The spicy minded way is about your brain and how it works. That's how you simplify your business. I have seen how this spicy minded way has changed my clients' world, and I know it'll do the same for you. So basically, I'm here to brainwash you into believing in yourself. In today's episode, I am going to cover two things I was going to tell you last week, but went off on a tangent and totally forgot. Owning your impact. And are you dreaming big enough? So, from one ADHD human to another, turn the volume up to an 11 and get ready to see yourself in my stories. Plus, you are going to learn a thing or two. So, let's fucking go. Welcome back to the ADHD Entrepreneur, the podcast for us adult diagnosed ADHD women who have the audacity to lead and run businesses like the feral bitches we are with an offer suite and revenue to match. My name's Carrie. I'm your host. I'm the chief weirdo of Carrie Out Loud. And if you are new here, I am so glad you found the podcast. Welcome. If this episode has an impact on you, could you do me a quick favor? Subscribe, turn on the notifications so you can come back every Wednesday and leave a 5-star review. That really helps this podcast get out to other women just like you. And since I understand your ADHD both professionally and personally, each episode covers a few topics. And that's all wrapped together in a lovely bow in a way that speaks to that feral funhouse of a brain that we have. I talk in trains of thought. So let's get into today's topics. The first is the first piece that I left off last week. And by the way, I was very sick for like 3 or 4 days, at least 4 days. Finally, like, feel normal now, finally feel like myself. But I tried recording the podcast on Monday. I normally record it on Fridays, but I was sick for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday I was kind of dipping my toe back in. And I started to record it, and I'm not joking and embarrassing to tell you, but I started recording 20 times. I literally deleted like a minute, 30 seconds, whatever. I could not get in my groove. And the reason why I was still trying was my OBM, Brooke, who I'll talk about her a little bit later. She's like, hey, if you get it to me in the morning, I can handle it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Went to bed, woke up, busted it out in one take. And it was probably one of the best episodes I've ever done. I think I love that episode because it really sparked an idea for a course that I'm creating, and I'm so excited. Um the name of it at this point is actually the name of it is this. It's Unfuck Your Money, Honey, and it's about simplifying to scale. So that was able to also happen. So it's been a good few days, but I just want to remind you that sometimes things are not going to go the way we want them to, and it's okay to let go a little bit. 24 hours is not going to kill anything in your business. It's truly not. And so just remember when something like that happens, it doesn't matter what level you are at in your business. It is okay to literally press that pause button if you need to and come back to it in the morning. One of my business mentors who I adore, I have two, One I'm actively working with now. And the one I'm not working with has become a very good friend of mine. And I remember when I was in her cohort, I was having a really fucked up day. I don't remember what was happening. So obviously it wasn't that big of a deal because if I don't remember it, but you know how it can be. And she's like, "You're going to put your phone down. You're going to turn everything off. You're going to stop and you're going to come back in the morning." And it's true. That was exactly what I needed to do. So sometimes we just need some sleep or maybe some food because if we don't have those things, we don't always run well. So that is the reason why I forgot these two things that I'm going to share here today. Plus, I have other topics for you. So the man in the arena was the thing I missed. So at the end of the intro, I'm like, and the man in the arena. Just keep listening. And you probably kept listening and like, where the fuck is the man in the arena? Or maybe you didn't even notice because you too have ADHD. And if so, that's awesome. But here is what I was going to tell you about the man in the arena. You may have heard this from Brene Brown. She says this all the time, wrote a book about it, but this quote is important. And I want you to remember this because showing up boldly, fully as yourself, means ignoring opinions from humans with literally zero stake in your arena. Zero stake. So, some random person's opinion, somebody from high school, somebody who's just lurking and watching your shit, right? They have no stake in anything. Random strangers who say shit to you. We are putting ourselves out there. At some point, it's bound to happen that someone's going to say something nasty or shitty. And just remembering that they literally have zero stake in your life and not to let that get to you. Block and delete, use that shit liberally. It will help your mind so much and keep your digital porch fucking clean so that when you come into work, because we do work online, you have that clarity. So the man in the arena is a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. And here's the quote. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who actually does strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory nor defeat. You may have heard it before, you may not. But essentially, change man to woman. It applies. And this is the Theodore Roosevelt quote. And just understand, if somebody is not in the arena with you, go read this quote again and remind yourself that if somebody's pointing out how you stumble, it is about them, not you. It has nothing to do with you. Zero. So that was the first one that I forgot last time. The second one is at the end of what I'm about to tell you, owning your impact. I forgot to finish this story in the last episode. I literally started it and then went off on a tangent. So, one of the things that so many people I know say is, "Oh, it doesn't have anything to do with me. It's all them." Okay, listen, bitches. Were it not for you to facilitate certain things, that person may not learn as quickly or be able to collapse time the way they do when you're helping them. Yes, they put in the energy and the effort. They're the ones who have to do those things to build their business. But if you pretend that you are not making an impact on them and you're like, no, this doesn't have anything to do with me. I love that beautiful humbleness about you, but knock it off. Own the impact. It doesn't mean you have to be disgustingly, wildly braggadocious in a gross way. It literally means owning your impact and staying focused on what you do best, putting that best foot forward and giving everything you got to the clients who are there with you. Own that impact. And so the story I had for you about this made me laugh so hard. I love this human being. There's somebody I met late last year. She had just been diagnosed with ADHD. She was going through it, as a lot of us do, trying to figure out what to do now. There was some business things that she was doing online, and she's just trying to figure out her life. And then I hadn't heard from her for a while. And then she dropped into my DMs out of nowhere. And she's wanted to ask me a question and stuff like that. But what she said was, and this is so wild to me and also awesome, and I'll tell you why in a moment. She says that now when she's making decisions or choices, she thinks to herself, still I'm laughing. It's just so funny. What would Carrie do? I think we need t-shirts, y'all. WWKD. What do you think? We should get that, right? Because it's not about me. I do own the impact that I make, but that wouldn't be about me. That t-shirt would be more like an anchor, and I'll explain what that is. An anchor is something that disrupts a pattern of thought, something that you can anchor into. So let's say she was about to react to something, and then she thought, what would Carrie do? That isn't about the statement, what would Carrie do? It's literally about the pause. There is so much power in pausing because then we can respond versus react. And since we can be highly dysregulated, taking a tiny little bit can help us reset and respond instead of react or blow up or whatever. So when you have an anchor, a set of words, there's a new book out by our friend Mel, that the let them theory. And let them is literally an anchor point, just like what would Carrie do? It's an anchor. It's something that stops you in your tracks. So you take a moment, take a beat, and then figure out how to move forward instead of just impulsively reacting. And that's really what this was. So, what is that thing for you? Do you have an anchor or something that you can literally use to create a roadblock for yourself, meaning a roadblock for that wild, nasty thought that you're having, where you can then take a look at your own unique way of solving that problem by taking that pause, if that's what you need. So I loved that she told me that story. It made me laugh, but when I really thought about it way deep down, it's an anchor. It makes her stop and makes her pause. So own your impact and realize that there are times where you feel like you are yodeling into the fucking gully. Trust me when I say I did not feel like I was going to ever be seen or heard, or that I was like talking to no one. But there's a point where you're like, no, that's not true. Right? So if you feel like that right now, if you feel like you're kind of like yodeling into a gully, understand that there are people watching or paying attention or checking out what it is going on with you that you don't even know. I am sure that a lot of you listening, I've never met. I have no clue that you exist. If that's you, say hi. I want to know. Come say hello. I don't bite, anymore. But yeah, I know that some of you listening, I don't even know. And I bet somebody will come in and say something else. I've had people show up just talking about the podcast that I just had no clue that was even they were listening. So that's the fun thing. That's the fun thing. So let's go on to the next train. Those are the two things that I forgot last week. So now I hope we're square. I hope you forgive me. Nobody's perfect. Perfection is bullshit. Let's move on. Everything you need. You've probably heard this sentence, but I'm going to break it down a little bit more. Everything you need is already inside you. I just paused for a moment because I want you to be aware of what your brain just thought. Did you think, fuck yeah, it is? Or did you think, no, that's not me that she's talking about? If you are the second, what's actually stopping you? What's stopping you from doing that thing, whatever it is? Creating an offer that you've been thinking about for a year, promoting your business on a bunch of podcasts instead. It's all nerve-wracking, right? You got to get reps in when you're doing anything new. But Do you believe that what you have already, just as you are, is enough? Because if you don't, that can be what's actually stopping you. Do you look for external validation often? Not a kudos or high five or, oh, you've got this, not a cheerleading, but, oh, that looks good. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Oh, you should do that. Or, do you ask other people to validate what you feel and you believe to be true for you? Because to me, and I know for a fact that you are not trusting your inner knowing. You are not trusting your gut instincts because you've been taught that they're not good and that they lie, right? But when it is a gut feeling, when it is a deep inner knowing, trust it. Even if nobody else sees the vision, even if nobody else really gets it, because Edison, people thought he was a Looney Tune. Yeah, you're going to put light in a glass. Psh, may as well catch lightning in a bottle. Guess what? We sit in our living rooms every day now, light bulbs. Why do you think? Yeah, he had ADHD, by the way. Why do you think a light bulb goes over people's head when they talk about an idea? Ooh, that's an idea. It's a light bulb, right? Lightning in bottle. If he had listened, we would all be peeing in the dark, right? We wouldn't have any lights. We'd still be in that time frame. Maybe somebody else would have invented it, but it would have taken more time. My point is, he didn't listen. He didn't believe it. He didn't care because he kept going. That's how I know. I don't know him. I never met him clearly, but the proof is in what we have. So he accomplished it, right? Just because the idea seems huge or way out there, or how I am just one person, I can't do this, I can't accomplish this. I sat with somebody in a one-on-one. We did a 90-minute clarity sesh and it was so sweet. And we got something set up. I told her we could do 90 minutes and it took like 82. And she was like, I didn't think this could actually be real. But what happened was she told me that she wasn't really good at anything. She really wants to do something online, but she hasn't really found her thing or what she's good at or whatever. And then I said, well, isn't there anything that you've wanted to do? And then she told me something very fucking specific. And I'm like, she's been thinking about that. She's been thinking about it for like 12 years. I am not joking you. And what's stopping her is the fact that she would have to look outside of herself for other human beings to trust to help her figure it out because it's a product. It's not service. It's a product. And so I told her straight up, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can let that sit there and incubate another 12 years, or you can find the who, not the how, which is a great book, by the way, by Dan Sullivan, Who Not How, and help her find who can help facilitate her to get that product to where she wants it and put it out into the world. And that self-trust and inner knowing is there, but you just don't act on it. I'm not sure what's stopping her. She'll, I'm sure, figure that out. I'm going to keep asking her about it, though, because I'm that asshole. I am that person who's like, so did you do that yet? And I am an instigator. You tell me something, I'll be like, yes, do that, because I just know that those types of reps and putting in that kind of energy and effort, repetition is what I mean by reps. Putting in that, the reps of trusting yourself. I'm going to challenge you to do something this week. If this is an issue that you have of needing external validation and needing other people to approve of something before you move forward with it, pick one thing, simple, something very simple that you would usually ask somebody else's opinion for and don't. Trust yourself and know that your inner knowing is accurate. Just one thing. That's rep one. That's how you build this back again. I had self-esteem in my shoes, and I did not trust myself at all because I had learned not to trust myself for a lifetime, and I did not know why. But I talk about the black box inside of us. So before an ADHD diagnosis, I feel like we have this black box inside of our body that we can't get into. We don't know what's in there. And that's what causes so much of our frustration and struggle. And what's in that box is the pieces of us that are affected by ADHD and we don't understand them. And then you get your diagnosis, and all of a sudden you're like, the box opens. You're like, oh, that's what's in there. And one of the things that comes as the literal best side effect of getting diagnosed with ADHD is self-esteem, self-confidence. It takes time to build it. And this is how you do it, by putting in the reps, taking little pieces that you would ask for validation from somebody else and trusting yourself. I used to send everything I was doing to other people that I trusted, people that were in the arena, but it was like everything. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? Never just trusting myself. That time's over now. I trust myself implicitly, but it took me almost 2 years to get here. For some, it may take a lot less time. For others, it may take longer, and that's okay. But understand that one of the things that an ADHD diagnosis unlocks is a different kind of self-trust and self-esteem. And what happens is this will happen a little bit at a time. You'll do something or you'll take some action, and then boom, a switch will go on. And then you'll keep moving along, and then something else will click. Boom, another switch goes on. And that's how you get there. But you have to fucking walk towards it. If you want to keep sitting in your own shit and wondering why it smells, go on ahead. You been looking around you going, where is that smell coming? You're sitting in your own shit. Stop it. Stand up. Start trusting in yourself. Start trusting your inner knowing. And the last train we're going to get on today is a little bit related to the last topic. Are you dreaming big enough? And if not, why? Let me ask you some questions. What do you think is stopping you? What's the roadblock? Is it something with your mindset? Is it tech? Because that is the literal largest one that I hear of all the time is tech. What's clogging your revenue? What needs a fucking roto-rooter, right? What is something you've been wanting to do, but you're putting it on the back burner because maybe it feels too big, or you're afraid. You're afraid to dream big because maybe you dreamt big before and it got crushed by something you didn't have any control over necessarily. Your past does not dictate your future. If you keep basing everything on your past, especially before you knew you had ADHD, you're doing yourself a disservice because your future gets to be different. It gets to be different now because you have a better understanding. Are you afraid of success, failure, or both? Because oftentimes we're afraid to fail because we don't want to be embarrassed and we don't want to, have shame in front of other people. And there's a fear of success because success comes with more demands, supposedly. That's what our brains think, but that's not true. You can scale and simplify at the same time and increase your revenue. It's absolutely possible and doable with the right strategy that works for your brain, not my strategy. I have lots of different strategies that we put into play depending on what you do. But the biggest key here is self-awareness and taking an action to get past that roadblock, even if it's one little thing. Like I said earlier, I had somebody hire me to do something that took us less than 90 minutes together, and her mind was blown. She'd waited to do that for 3 years. That was fear running the show. But now it's gone. It's done. She's got what she needs, you know? Do you have vision boards or at least a couple of things that you want to accomplish or achieve that you put in front of your face all the time? What is the fear? Look at it. Because frankly, the things that are in the corner in the dark that you're so afraid of or nervous about when the light when you shine the light on it, it's like a cuddly teddy bear. It's never as awful as we make it in our mind. Are you dreaming big enough? Are you dreaming at all? There were a lot of years that I stopped. No more. I dream again. This is the first year I made a vision board in my business. That's really kind of sad. I told you about my, my keychain. I think I talked about it. But my vision board keychain that I had on my keys forever, and then all of it happened. It all came to fruition. And for some reason with this business, I hadn't done that yet. So I went on to Pinterest and I did it. It was fun. But see, I didn't let myself have fun because dreaming big meant letting myself have fun. And I have ADHD and I have all of this stuff happening in my world. I'm supposed to just be miserable. Wrong. So what are you going to do today to dream bigger than what you're dreaming right now? You don't have to figure out what it means or where it's going or what that looks like. Just ignite the spark. And with that, I'm going to end today's episode. If you loved this one, please subscribe, give it a 5-star review, tell a friend, send a carrier pigeon, drop in somebody's DMs, drop in my DMs and say hi. Tell me, what did you get out of it, this episode? And also, I'm a connection queen. Community is one of my core values, and I love meeting the people who listen to this podcast. So until next week, I see you. I love you. I'm fucking rooting for you always. And don't forget to keep it weird. Okay? Okay. Bye. Oh, hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the ways to follow me. And of course, my goal is to find and help as many women with ADHD get away from the 9-to-5 grind, because it's just not designed for our neurospicy brilliance, and there are other ways to do life. So by subscribing, sharing, and giving a 5-star review, it helps other women find this podcast as well. And if there's an episode you really love, please feel free to take a screenshot and share it on your social and tag me in it so that I can thank you personally. Until next time, you spicy brained unicorn. Bye.